So hey, AC here, welcome to the Southern Rugby channel and the start of a new venture. We're here in the new studio. Just picked up the keys today, which is pretty cool. And I've got with me Staples, who is Elevate, correct? Correct. And we're going to produce a YouTube channel together using content through Elevate, and I get to put it together somehow. So that's going to be pretty cool. So you're wondering why we've got the Golf Warehouse as a sponsor. They're on board for the next couple of weeks. So that's going to be pretty cool. So the reason why they're on board is because of the Spartans tournament and the golf and Mecca. So if you don't know, you know Mecca?
Yep, Mackenzie Palmer.
That's the one, Mackenzie Palmer, who plays for?
Southern.
Good man.
If you don't know that, you don't watch.
Yeah, I'm asking you because I'm like, you're my stats man, so you're the guy with all the stats, and that's the cool thing about what we do is, as you know, I'm terrible with names, and you got the stats, and we can go over it every week when we do our shows. So that's going to be pretty cool as well. So the reason why we've got the Golf Warehouse on board is this weekend, and the next show, we're going to do the Spartans tournament, golf tournament with Mecca, and that's covering because Mecca's getting help from them for their little wee baby Maya and Maddie. So who don't know, and if you're wondering why my nails are coloured blue, is that's in support of Maddie and Mecca and Maya for cystic fibrosis. Now, I don't know much about cystic fibrosis, so this is for you guys, and I'll show some footage of that because I went down and seen them down at the Golf Warehouse, so we'll show that now. Hey, AC here. I'm down at the Golf Warehouse. Yes, stay with me on this one. It is a rugby show, but I'm here to come down and see Mecca and chat to him about this weekend coming up with the Spartans golf, Spartans rugby. We're going to cover that in the next show, but at the moment I'm down here to support Mecca, chat to him a bit, and his family, because the Spartans are raising money for Mecca and his family, Maddie and their wee girl Maya, and for cystic fibrosis. So what we're going to do is something a bit unconventional. We're going to paint our nails in support of Maddie and Maya and cystic fibrosis. So yeah, come with me and let's go paint our nails. If you want to paint your nails and show your support, come on down, give me a chat, put a comment in below. We can do this. Sweet, cheers. So we're doing it for supporting Mecca, Maddie and Maya.
Oh yeah, amazing.
Because they're doing the Spartans tournament this weekend for them, raising money.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, congratulations, Mecca. Beautiful bubba.
Yeah, this is right. Better looking than me.
So you've just walked into something, so this is going to be funny.
Okay. You've got better nails than me.
Have I?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good thing or not.
Hand model AC.
Yeah, you reckon?
Shit, I'm nervous. Like,
Stop shaking. It's like, comes off easy.
Yeah, we got nail polish remover out back.
One nail's alright.
they can do my thumb.
You can do your thumb.
Nah, middle finger.
Yeah, middle finger.
This is fucked up.
Stop moving.
Last shot. That's all we need.
That was a good one. It's very pretty, isn't it?
Very pretty. It's for a good cause.
That's right.
Like that one. I love grey. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed that bit of laughter and what we did down at the warehouse. I'm also doing, it'll be part of the show next week, is the Spartan stuff that I'm going to get, the golf tournament, and we're going to do the Southern Rugby Regional Golf Tournament, and they are raising funds for South Otago youth for rugby players. So you know much about that, do you?
I don't know anything about that, so you can inform me.
So if anyone knows Marty Hurring, and I'll knock down in South Otago, they're putting that together for young fellas and young people down in South Otago, and that money goes back to them for, say, like kids need boots or something, or they need travel money, and I think that's a great thing to do as well. So to the next part of our conversation is us. So why we're doing this. So for me, I love rugby just like you do, and it's a great sport. It's about community. It's about how do we share that. So with your Elevate, you might be able to tell me what that entails. Is like, I know you do video footage and you do gather data. So what sort of data do you grab on that?
Yeah, so firstly is obviously the video data, the game footage. It's a big task, getting around all the grounds and having people assign various grounds to collect that and have good quality footage as much as possible. And then once we have the footage, we conduct the analysis, and that breaks down the game into the game components, which enables us to draw general game data out of, whether that's line out success or tackle success, and various frequencies and percentages of events and success outcomes and things like that.
Yes.
That's essentially we're with data providers to the teams to then go and conduct their own analysis on their games, or allows them to do some opposition analysis as well.
And you're also on board with the Otago women's rugby as well?
Yep, so we cover all the Premier Men's and Premier Women's. We dabble in a wee bit of Premier Colts when we can. In the rep season, we support likes of Otago Spirit and Otago Development Men and under 19s and under 16, 17, 18s, all through the rep teams. We try and support those teams as best we can, whether it's travelling to Christchurch or Invercargill, or making sure we have cameras on the ground so we can do the analysis. So we try and support particularly Otago Rugby as much as we can. Yeah,
no, that's awesome. And the other good news that I talked about this morning was we have someone else coming on board with us. Those who know him, Thomas Grant, commonly known as Wheels. So he's on board with us, and it's going to be an awesome thing to do as well.
Yep.
So have him. He's over in Boston
with the New England Free Jacks.
Is it? That's who he's with?
Pretty sure.
Pretty sure. So that's going to be pretty cool too. So he'll be able to give us some information on what they're doing over there, and also he's going to be watching the footage.
He likes to keep track of what's going on here.
Yeah, it's going to be really cool to have him, and we're going to get him into the live streaming, and we're going to do a podcast here. We'll get him in on the podcast through Zoom, I presume, somehow. So how are you going to do that?
Yeah, like I say, Zoom, get it recorded, and figure out the technical stuff afterwards.
Oh, that's the one. That's the one we're going to do. So we're going to take a wee break. I went down to Southern's practice, and I caught up with Harry Taylor. So here's this wee interview I had with Harry Taylor. AC here, welcome back to the channel, and I've got Harry Taylor. And so pre-season starting for most of the clubs, and I've just managed to pull you aside and see how your off-season went, because you had a pretty good season with the Otago squad. And so how was the Otago experience, and how was the off-season?
Off-season's been good, thanks. It was a good, fun season with Otago. Played plenty of minutes, which was very pleasing, and had lots of fun. Just been. I had a few weeks off, bit of time off, and then I've just been back working and training and back on the farm a little bit. So I've been enjoying my time off. Yeah. Ready to rip back into it now.
Are you?
Yeah, I am.
Oh yeah, because it should be a pretty close competition again this year, with the 6 sides that made the top 6, and so there's a lot for you guys to build on from last year.
Yeah, there is for sure. We were disappointed in losing the semi-finals last year, but I mean it's just the nature of the comp. It's very tightly contested. I reckon there'll be some good teams again this year. So I'm looking forward to the challenge actually.
Yeah. And new coaching staff.
Yep. So Lobby's has stepped in, and Hisa, so that's exciting.
I just seen him back there, so it's pretty good.
No, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
So so for us, like I've just told you what I've got getting up to and getting
Yep.
around all the sides this year. So you've got a few mates around now that you've played with Otago and other sides. And did you catch up with them over the Christmas break and stuff like that, or?
Yeah, made a few new friends just through that team, and caught up with them, and they'll be in the club scene this year as well. So it'd be good to play against them and give them a bit of niggle. Yeah.
And so a lot of people were probably interested in how your brother is getting on with the Highlanders.
Yeah. No, he's doing real well. I'm living with him now, so I'm keeping a close eye on him. But he's training really hard, and he's ready for a big super season. So
So hey, that's pretty cool. And we'll
sweet.
catch up with you during the season.
Yeah, sounds
and we
good.
might get you in on the podcast as well, because that's coming along as well. Pull a couple of your mates in around and we'll do that, eh?
Yeah, no worries.
Sound good?
Yeah, sounds good.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers, mate. Easy.
So what I wanted to do was talk about last season.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I think last season is poignant to what we're doing. We know GI won the championship, which I think is absolutely awesome. I think it's great for them. It blew my theory out of the water about you only had to win 3 games. They only had to win 2 because they lost against University, didn't they?
Correct.
So, and I think last year, if there was a team that I was worried about, was University.
Particularly in the quarterfinals.
Especially in the quarterfinals.
Exactly, the knockouts, yeah.
Yeah. So last
Did
year,
they end up losing to Dunedin in the semi?
they lost.
Yeah.
Yeah, they lost to Dunedin, and then Dunedin GI.
And Green Island beat Southern.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So the old 3-peat for Southern didn't happen. I think, at the end of the day, we were all pretty satisfied still when you come back and look at what Southern has done in the last 3 years, and with John Leslie is a big effort, especially for one of the smallest clubs in Dunedin. And so I was not too dissatisfied, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting to a semi-finals, no mean feat.
No mean feat. So what were your thoughts on, we'll talk about Zingaree, because William Holler went up there last year. And
Made some big changes.
big changes. I was proud of William. I know him personally, so it was really cool. I knew a lot of the boys that went up there.
Yep.
Rugby's finicky. Like I don't knock anyone when they want to make a personal change.
Yep.
And it's what I think William did well for himself and well for the club.
Yeah, the club as a whole, not just that Premier side.
Yeah, not just the Premier side.
Change the way things are being done.
Yeah, and it was exciting for them. And my hats off to William and that, making the top 6. They did really well at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, the first 6 rounds they went unbeaten.
Yeah.
And then just had a wee dip in form and just didn't quite recover that form.
Yeah. So that was interesting, and I think at the end of the season, I think fitness got them. That's the way I looked at it, was the fitness side of it.
Could put it down to fitness.
Yeah. That's my personal opinion. I'm not knocking them. Just to me, when I looked at the stats, I looked at the teams.
Yeah, I do feel like there's a bit of a momentum loss, because they went that first few rounds unbeaten, then they got a bye, and they weren't able to build upon. I feel like the bye probably did them a bit of a disservice.
Oh yeah.
I think that's happened for a few teams.
Yeah. Well, so momentum is a big thing. Like I'm a great believer in consistency of selection.
Yeah.
And that was one of the secrets behind Southern, was they had that consistency. And I think that's what undoes University a lot, because they have a turnover of new players all the time.
Yeah, from year to year, but even season to season, there's different players in amongst that group that go and represent different sides, or have to have a couple of weeks off for some varsity, or their season does get disrupted a wee bit.
Yeah, it does for them. Yeah. So what are your thoughts on AU's performance? I love their club. I think it's a great, they're a great bunch of people down there, putting as just as much work in as everyone else.
Exactly.
And for them to be where they are, I find it upsetting.
They'll be disappointed with it too.
Yeah.
Like, no one wants to finish bottom of the ladder.
No.
But like you say, it's a great club, and there's lots of good people, good players.
Yeah.
Still getting plenty of players coming through.
Yeah.
Plenty of teams involved.
Yeah.
In the Premier men's space, again, some of that's the selection, the player base sort of wasn't consistent from week to week, and that probably hindered them a wee bit, like you suggested as well. So some things that let them down probably the main one was probably just their defence.
Yeah.
They seemed to be a kicking team. They had the most kicks out of every team.
Oh, right, yeah.
They kicked the most, like, per game, and not total, I don't think, but on a per game basis, they kicked the most. And I remember there's been a few coaches around in recent times saying teams that kick the most win the most.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, not the case for Alhambra. If you look into the footage a wee bit and say, yep, they kicked a lot, but where were they kicking from? Lots of it was exiting. They weren't, and could put it down to execution, could have put it down to not being able to defend once you kick it. But if you look at where they're kicking from, it wasn't really the types of kicks.
Yeah.
Not what they're really looking for.
Yeah, I was very lucky last year to sit in a session with Tony Brown and about kicking and what his thoughts were behind kicking and where you kick it.
Yeah.
You know, a kick down the middle of the paddock, no bloody good. So you're trying to get your kicks into that 15 metre zone, so because it pins them into a corner, and it makes your defensive line better. And I think I watched a lot of sides last year who would kick aimlessly.
Yeah.
And so there had to be purpose behind your kicks.
Correct.
So I think there's some learnings for those guys down there to have a...
And someone that does that really well, someone you've already mentioned, Mackenzie.
Yeah.
Excellent kicker. He's probably one of the players that does kick the most on an individual basis. And if you look through his involvements through the season, he carries well, he's fast, he line breaks, but his kicks are just so good. They're at the right time, in the right place. His understanding of the game is so good, and he's able to make those decisions so quick.
Because he is the top performing player probably in the last 5 seasons in the Premier competition. And it has been a shame that he hasn't been in the Otago squad. Yeah. So for whatever reason, we're not selectors. And I have my heart on my sleeve when it comes to that one. So best I don't comment. That's my thoughts on that one. So who else do we have? Kaikra. They're a top performing team again.
Yeah, probably one of the more attacking sides. They like to play a quick ball. In recent years, they're one of those teams that have been very consistent with their selection each week. Yeah. There may only be 1 or 2 changes max from game day to game day, and that really, I do think that really helps. But last year it was changed up a wee bit more. There's more players involved. Whether that's a bad thing, I'm not one to say, but just things didn't quite click all the way through.
All the way through for them. And there's, I think they're going to be a top performing side this year.
Oh yeah,
definitely. So that's going to be a great thing to watch as well.
This year's a tough one to gauge though, because you do hear about player movements and teams losing personnel, so it's a hard one to gauge at this stage.
I sort of didn't listen. I didn't want to listen. I was like, I don't want to be a part of that conversation because I want it to be a surprise. Yeah. So it's like, I'll just step away from that conversation. Because there's these coaches changes all over the show. Yeah. So we'll see how they go. I predict they'll probably be in the top 6.
Yeah, it's hard to say. You can't look past them for the top 6. Yeah.
So Tyree is another wonderful club. I love to go play there. They've got such a great community. The community out there is awesome, and they have been a really top performing side in the last 5 years, and this year I think they were rebuilding and they struggled.
I think there was quite a lot of change in terms of how they wanted to play. Like you say, for a number of years they just, I don't want to say they dominated the club scene, but they were very, very one of the prominent sides, and they had a distinct style of play. Last year they changed that up, and you could tell from previous years where they'd just be able to hold on to possession, high skill level, and wear the opposition down with the ball while being relentless on defence. But with the ball, they just held on to it, and they could retain ball really well. Last year was not like that. No. They weren't able to hold on to the ball, and it shows when most of the, I think, was it probably 4 50% of their tries probably came in the first phase.
Yeah.
Whereas in previous seasons it was pretty evenly spread. They were scoring tries after 8, 9, 10 phases as well.
Yeah.
Whereas I think they only got 2 tries after 7 phases. They just weren't able to hang on to the ball and create scoring opportunities.
And of course, the previous years, the counter-attack was huge.
Oh,
They
yeah.
would score off counter-attacks. And that's because I can remember a couple of years ago, we went out and played them. We outplayed them across the park, across all the stats, but we lost because it was just those moments in a game. And I think that they've lost those players that can make those moments for them. And I think they're going to rebuild that. I think they've got some good young talent coming through. So I'm looking for them to do better this year. So,
Yeah, I think they will.
Yeah, they will. Yeah. So, yeah, no, that's going to be pretty awesome to watch as well. So that brings us down to Harbour. Harbour.
Big changes on at Harbour.
Big changes down at Harbour. I'm another one they're a great community out there.
Yeah.
They get behind their footy, and so Scooter, I know. So so Scooter always gives me a hard time about their side, but they've got coaches changes out there.
Yep.
Yeah, Pete McIntyre, Craig's out there, and Waisaki.
Yeah, I think Wise is joining.
Yeah, so I think they've got a good bones coaching staff, good brain cells.
And they've been busy in the off-season recruiting, by all accounts.
Have they?
Yeah.
What do you know that I don't know?
Oh, nothing that you can't find on social media.
Oh, is that right? Oh, I don't look at social media. I'm terrible.
Quite a few announcements of new arrivals from around the country.
Yeah, any names? You got any?
I don't know of them.
Oh, right.
They're up-and-comers.
Oh, that's awesome. So I think their challenge, like last year, I think they were disappointed in how they tracked.
Yeah.
I think they went in fits and starts.
Yeah.
They'd win one week and then lose the other week.
Yeah, and they had a couple of good wins along the way that people almost didn't expect because of their recent form. But then they weren't able to sustain anything, even in game. It was a tough watch sometimes.
It was a tough watch, So
And again, personnel changes and trying to play players out of position to get your best players on the field.
Yeah.
Sometimes doesn't work.
No. So I think they've learnt from that.
Yeah.
I think this year they'll be really looking to. I think the biggest challenge is them is to bring it together.
100%, because there's people coming in from left, right, and centre
Yeah.
that haven't worked together before.
Yeah.
So the pre-season will be major for them.
Yeah, big major for them and how they gel.
Yeah.
And how they get their plans coming forward. So that'll be really interesting. I know Craig Lawrence he's a great forward coach, and I think he'll pull a bit more discipline in for them in that side of it, because I thought they tended to struggle there in the forward pack. So yeah, and because you got Waisaki out there, he'll be absolute
Full of knowledge.
Full of knowledge. I'd be seeing how that back line goes.
Yeah.
So so we'll see how that goes. So who else we have? Dunedin.
Yeah, Dunedin are a funny one. Last year, like in all the performance metrics that have been identified as key performance indicators for winning versus losing.
Yeah.
Things like kicks in play or tries scored and offloads and tackle success, all those sorts of things. Dunedin was sort of mid-range for all of them. Mm-hmm. They didn't top out any of those sort of numbers.
Yeah.
So they were just steady Eddie along the way, just trucking along each week. And they had a couple of losses they wouldn't have expected.
Yeah.
But most of the time they were a solid side that just did everything well.
Yeah, I went and watched a game with Southern and Dunedin, and it was one of the most brutal games I've ever seen in Premier Rugby. And I was going there expecting Southern to dominate in the forwards. It wasn't that way at all. And when I talked to Harry after the game, he goes, that was one of the most brutal games he's ever been in. And it just shows on their day, Dunedin can really perform. Absolutely. And, I would have said that they would have, after with the final, I sort of said they would have won it. And
they're probably one of the favourites going in.
Yeah, and I think they would be disappointed they didn't.
Yep.
And they've been one of the top performing sides in the last 5 years.
Yep.
And with the player base that they've got and the Colts coming through, they've got
and that consistency, the coaching group isn't changing heaps.
No.
So that level of consistency could bode well.
Yeah, and they had
good rep players in their side.
Yep.
Like there was Southland boys in there as well, and Otago boys, and it just didn't work for them. It's funny how that works sometimes, isn't it? Sometimes, yeah. It's just funny sometimes how that works. So who have we missed? Who else have we got? Well, there's Pirates. The old Pirates.
Pirates.
The old Pirates. Let's talk about Pirates. I know Paul Miller is it a social side or a senior
in the
side?
senior grade, I believe.
Senior grade?
Yeah.
That's going to be good.
Yeah.
Good for the town.
Yeah.
I think that's something to celebrate if they can. And I hope that everyone gets behind them. And because raising a club back up again, that must be a huge
It's going to be
task.
hard work, yeah.
Yeah, because
lots of people in the background putting in some work, getting that going.
Yeah, and I hope you guys get there and do it. Like I really do. And like some people say, well, there's not enough players in Dunedin to have another club side. I'm going to say on the record, I think they're full of shit. I think if you've got good community and like what we're doing, putting media out there, bring rugby and community to the forefront and motivate people. There's lots of people out there who used to play rugby, and can get out there and play and be part of a club. I think the best thing anyone can do is be part of a club. And that's what I want to see. I want to see people out there wearing their colours, clubs having their merch. And I love, you see GI do it really well.
Yeah, see those jerseys everywhere.
They're everywhere. I go down to Balclutha and I see someone walk past one. I'm like, oh, here we go. But that's part of it. That's part of it. And of course they'll see me and they know who I am, so I get a bit of a ripping, and that's good. It's all good banter, and I love good banter, and I love people who have that pride, in their club.
Absolutely.
And getting that balance, and that's what I want to see this year, is watch that balance and that chat between everyone. I think this is what I want to do, is get that chat going around clubs, around our football, making Dunedin Premier Rugby #1 in New Zealand. That's my wish.
Yeah.
And this is the start of it. This is the way I see it. Put media around it, get it out there. That's what we're going to try and live stream some games, and people can watch it. We're all on board to promote every club.
Yep.
And that's what we want to do, is promote every club, So, and I think that's going to be a massive year for us, is if we can do it.
Yeah.
And how are we going to do it? And I think that's what excites me, is how are we going to do this? And I've got an idea, but it's how do we make this work?
Let's make it work.
Let's make it work. So we're going to make that work. So we've covered most of the sides. Have we missed any of the sides? Who have we missed? I don't think we've missed anyone, have we?
Didn't talk much about Green Island.
Oh no, we didn't talk about Green Island.
You just said they won.
Yeah.
Enough said.
Enough said. No, I think if you were a betting man, you would bet that they'd be consistent. I believe they've got the coaching staff back again.
Yep.
So
Finch is up there again. Yep.
Everything's the same.
Yep.
You've got the Finches out there giving them a hand. So I can't. They would be, all the rest of the clubs would be chasing them. Pretty much, that's what it is. And they're going to find, like we found, is when you were the top dog,
Everyone's gunning for you.
Every other team would take that extra step against you.
Yeah, of course.
And so, but that's how our competition gets better, is having sides that lift. Because I can remember when we went up the first year, the competition lifted.
Yeah.
And then and last year it lifted again. You look at the 6 sides really that got into the top 6. Any one of them could have won the competition.
Yep.
On any given day.
Even Varsity, they qualified through in 6th.
Yeah.
They ended up 5th or 6th in the end. I can't remember.
Who qualified top? GI?
Might have been GI. So they probably did come 6th. Yeah.
And they were 6th, and they beat Green Island.
Varsity their form was going up toward the back end of the season, and they could have beaten anyone on that.
Yeah,
they did. They beat Green Island.
They had a really big mobile forward pack, and they had backs to boot.
Yeah.
And they had the speed. Yeah. And that's how they knocked them over. Yeah. I think they played their final a week too early. or 2 weeks too early. You know what I mean? So they were playing for their lives,
Yeah.
and so that's probably why that result went the way it did. I think that stunned everyone.
Yeah.
But that's what I love about this game. I love about Dunedin football was something you just don't know who's going to win on the Saturday. You know, so that's the coolest thing about the whole thing and that's what I want to bring is that, you know, that story, that drama, because there's always drama. You know, it could be a red card, it could be a try that shouldn't have been given, and because we're going to be right on the front line because we're going to see it. So, you know, so I'm looking forward to that.
Referee's got to be on the game.
Yeah, but also that's another thing I want to talk about is referees. I think we were pretty blessed with the referees we had in the Premier competition.
Yep.
The other thing is they need more referees.
Oh, of course.
And it's no point in having good referees at the top when you don't have the referees at the bottom. And I think if we have good rugby, I think the referee standard will pick up, and we put more media around it. You know, get young ladies and gentlemen in refereeing. I want to push that this year. I want to push more referees for those guys because it brings communities together. It gives people respect, gives people to do stuff because we can't play this game without referees.
Yeah.
And that is the key. And you got to remember, referees play their part, like right or wrongly. We've all been on that side of the coin where it's gone our way and it hasn't gone our way, and that's part of the game. That's part of the story. Is that sometimes we don't get it right. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It doesn't get it right, and emotions flare.
Yeah.
But
I
it's
don't
all part
envy
of it.
referees at
No,
all.
I don't envy referees at all. And I don't know, somewhere in the future we may be able to help that with what we're doing. You know, like it could be, we could, if we're doing a live game, we could say, well, you can have a guy upstairs watching it and give you a bit of a hand if you want, you know.
TMO, Club
TMO,
Rugby.
yeah. I think they'd love it, wouldn't they? I don't know. That's probably
I don't know about that.
That'd be a step too far, I'd say. Yeah, probably just leave it with the guy on the field. But you did put mics on them last year you had mics going at some stage.
Yeah. We've tried to do it a few times, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
Maybe you try something different,
Yeah.
you can have different results. But it is quite good because I know the referees review their own games
Yep.
quite in depth.
Yeah.
So being able to have their own audio playback and get clarity in their mind and get clarity on their decisions, they're only going to get better as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that extra information, it brings clarity for them for their review and their development, and it brings clarity for the teams and the players and the coaches that go, oh, you didn't see this, and the audio that can be picked up can be very telling.
Yeah, that could be. So I want to finish on women's rugby. So I haven't actually followed the women's rugby here in Dunedin and Otago because I've always been busy with as club captain as in Southern, and we don't have a women's team. There is a push to have a women's team at Southern. It would be really awesome, but I don't know where they're at with that at the moment. So which teams? I know Varsity have a women's team. I know Big River Rugby,
Big River, yep.
Big River, and then you've got Alhambra. They did well this year.
Yep.
They
won the banner.
They won the banner, so that was great for Alhambra.
Yep.
You know, so then you've got.
What was that past? Oh, I forget.
Did you forget? Have we got that one wrong?
Might get that one wrong.
Put a comment.
I can't remember.
Comment below.
Oh,
Hey, you're my stats man. So,
who won it? Was it Alhambra or Dunedin?
oh, God, I don't know. I don't know. I didn't follow it at all, but because we're going to cover that as well, aren't we?
Might very well be Dunedin.
We're going to cover that.
Might have
Aren't
been
we?
Alhambra the year before that won it.
It could have been, yeah. So it might have
Oh
been.
gosh,
Dunedin.
that's embarrassing.
I know, it's embarrassing. Put a comment below, girls. That'd be hilarious. But we're going to cover them as well and push that, especially this year.
And there's Waitaki Wahine as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, and I understand that Zingaree are entering their women's team into the Premier Grade 2, so that'll bring 6 teams.
6 teams?
They'll create 6 teams, which takes the bye out, which is great because no one likes a bye.
No one likes to buy. No. So that'd be awesome.
So yeah, and Zingaree really probably deserved to be in this because they really dominated that development grade last year.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be awesome.
So do we do that as a separate segment, or we're going to put that in too? Oh, see, this is all on the run. We've got no idea how we're going to put it together, so we're going to put it together somehow. Because we'll do the Premier Rugby, and then we'll do the Women's Rugby.
Who knows?
Yeah, and we'll get some of the ladies in here to chat and do the podcast, because that's the ultimate goal, is do it in a podcast. And this is why we've got this space in the studio. So thanks for listening to a couple of, I don't know what we call ourselves, fans of rugby.
Big called worse.
Yeah, well, and so your Staples, I'm AC, and yeah, I'll catch you on the sideline. Done.